Welcome to the Shai Show. And my name is Shai. Hello and welcome to this week's Parsha. Parshas? Chukas. Yay. Parshas Chukas. And this week I wanted to share with you 3 important things that matter to me this week. Number 1, to be humble with what you know, or what you think I know, what you think you know, and to know there's probably more out there than you already know. And on the same hand, to realize there's so much more out there to know. And the more you know, The second is something we all know about a way to be happy, and yet we can still do it. And what is that? That is by reaching out and helping others when maybe it's a little bit difficult and a little bit hard on us, and maybe we're feeling we're not accomplishing all the things we could be doing that day, and somehow by still doing it, it brings more good things for everyone. And C, to realize that the good things we do matter. It's very easy to think that being one of so many people and being so special, just like everyone else, is not special, yet it's also very special. Trust me. This Parsha, Parshas Chukas, with the red heifer, the Para Aduma. When Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, the wisest of all men, came to Parsha of the Para Aduma, he felt as though all the wisdom he had pursuing all those years was distant from him. He had learned through and found sources and reasonings for 612 mitzvahs. But when he came to 613, he felt it was still very far. 612, very smart. 613, very far. Went through almost all of them. Last one, very far. What was it about the Paraduma that was so hard to understand? The concept relying on the fact that something, basically, that something that creates purity for others could create impurity for those preparing it. Shlomo Melech, trying to understand the sources and the reasoning, how it could be that something that creates purity, the Paraduma, creates purity, brings purity into the world, yet itself, for those preparing it, gives them impurity. How could that be? So I heard an idea suggested by my friend Eli from physics. When the scientists, the original scientists, the Greeks, were looking into the universe, looking into the solar system, and trying to figure out what were the orbits of the planets, they felt that the orbits must be circular, or circles within circles. And these were very smart Greeks. These are the same Greeks that were able to calculate the circumference of the entire world within just 10% error. Link below to see that story. Then years later, during the Middle Ages, Tycho Brahe came and he saw that the orbits were elliptical. Years after that, Isaac Newton, the great Sir Isaac Newton, came and he saw and created 3 fundamental laws of physics that allowed us to understand much better the orbits of all the planets. But there was still these strange nuances, these strange little things that it couldn't be understood. That Mercury, in particular, every certain amount of time, it seemed as though they were just a couple of days off. There was something failing in Newton's physics. Einstein comes along and he introduces the theory of relativity and changes the whole concept and whole perspective on what it is for gravity. But what we saw from this is that what Newton said was false. What he said was not true. He was looking to understand space and time, the reality within and around him. He understood them as these separate properties. Years later, comes Einstein, shows that they're one property. Space and time is a continuum, is one thing. All these years, and Newton did a lot of great things and was able to accomplish a lot with it. His physics and his laws got us to the moon, yet we went forward. Well, by not being intuitive about these fundamental laws in physics, might also not have been intuitive about how we should understand how we are to be with others. The fact that the ashes purify and they contaminate the pure, that means these ashes come to make pure, yet the ones who made them to purify become contaminated, that could be possibly one of the most important essential lessons for our daily lives. If your your friend, someone you know, has been infected, bothered by impurity and corruption, don't hesitate to get involved. Don't hesitate to get involved and to do everything that it is in your power to rehabilitate him. If you can rehabilitate him, please do it. If you're concerned that you may become tainted by your own contact with him, so that's when you should remember that the Torah commands, the Kohanim, the people who are commanded to keep themselves pure, the highest of the high of purity, and to purify their fellow Jews, that even though they should do this, even though that their own level of purity will be diminished. This leads us to point C, to recognize that what we do is very meaningful and powerful, and our level of our knowledge of our growth and our help matters. And if we're saying, how could it matter? So I might suggest one point within that point, and that is intention. I once heard a story where there was once a city, and there were two city workers, and they were working alongside the highway. One was digging holes, and the other was filling up the hole behind him. Then they would dig another hole, and the next one would fill up a hole behind him. And my friend was watching this the whole day. And after a while, he just had to know what was going on. Why was one person digging a hole just to be filled up by another person behind them? They were answered that the first person was there to dig the holes. There was really a second person that was supposed to be there to plant trees, and then the third person was to fill it up. It seems that day the second person was sick, so he wasn't there. The first and third person still wanted to do their job and get paid, so the first one dug the hole, and the third one filled up the hole, except there was no trees. That possibly, when we realize the middle part, not just going through the actions, even having the awareness about what we're doing matters, it tends to bring much more meaning, and it tends to bring much more mattering to all that we're doing. If possibly we can remember these points, we might be humble in what we think we know, and that there's so much more to know, and then we can know them, that we can help others, even if sometimes it's difficult and it's hard, and sometimes a detriment to ourselves, and there's some sort of maybe impurity that might be bestowed upon us, or some goal that's not fully achieved. And the third one, to realize that even though we're now humble about things we may know or not know, and that we're going out of our way to these other things, that it matters, only you can do it. And even having the awareness and the intention that they matter tends to bring a much greater quality and mattering. Having this third point of recognizing the importance of what we do brings it importance, because we realize the uniqueness of understanding our own importance is itself very special. So the fact that we're special amongst many other special people allows us to be special, and by recognizing the specialness, it makes us even more special. So even if you're special just like everyone else, by recognizing that specialness in yourself and specialness in others increases the specialness and makes everything matter so much more. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic week.